Hi, welcome to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Bill Foley. We're here another Friday night going into Week 13 of the NFL season. On my right, I got Redskin Danny Yulo. And on my left, a guy that's been here, of course, many times last year, Mike, the professional Foley. He's author of a bestseller called Underdogs, Our Man's Best Friend. Congratulations on the book.
Thanks a lot.
A lot of work went into that, a way to beat NFL football. So if you go to a store in Vegas, make sure you look that up. Dan, last week in college football, there was a lot of big games. We talked about them last week. We had Oregon State. Big game there. Oregon State coming up big against Oregon. They held on to the lead at the end. They propels them probably into a BCS bowl.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. The way it looks right now, here's a little rundown of the way I think it's going to go the rest of the year. If Oklahoma loses to Kansas State on December 2nd, Bill and Mike, the computer probably going to spit out Florida State versus Miami championship in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
And what this computer thing basically is what it's all about. It's threefold. You got the computer formulas, which nobody knows anything about except about two guys in a dark room. Yeah. You got the strength of the schedule, and you got the margins of victory. But, however, it could work out where two games mean absolutely nothing. Miami's W over Florida State and Washington's victory over Miami might all go for naught. And at the final, no matter what happens in the Orange Bowl, the AP final standings could differ from the coaches in the USA Today coaches poll. So I'll tell you the truth, as I always say, anything can happen, and it probably will.
Yeah. Well, basically, it comes down again to a popularity contest.
Yeah, it's another mess again with the BCS, and it's every other year. Excuse me. Every other year, it's the same thing. You know, they need to get a playoff format or something. It's too political with the football.
Well, I'll tell you, the whole thing that bothers me is nobody really knows how it works. So they can really just stick who they want there, and the public's just here to say, okay, then this is who's playing for the championship. Because to me, I know a lot about sports and formulas. I don't know how to figure this out. Do you?
No.
Yeah, how do they come out with these ratings? You know, who sits there on a computer and just punches this stuff in?
I don't know. I have no idea. We're going to go to the college for this week, starting tomorrow. Nice game here, rivalry game. Georgia Tech and Georgia. Game is a pick'em. Total is 50. Quarterback for Georgia Tech is already, Georgia Tech is already going to the Peach Bowl, so this game really has no impact for bowls for them, but it is a rivalry game. They are one of the hottest teams in the country. Georgia's going to be without quarterback Quincy Carter. George Godsey's going to lead Georgia Tech. He's done a great job for Georgia Tech since taking over about the third game of the season. He's considered one of the top 5 prospects in the country. Last game passed for almost 400 yards in a victory. Georgia Tech usually uses a fast-paced offense with this quarterback. I think Georgia Tech at a pick'em without Quincy Carter quarterbacking for Georgia is a solid play with a total of only 50. I look for Georgia Tech to score at least 35 to 40 points against their arch rival.
Yeah, they didn't miss a beat with this Godsey replacing Hamilton and all. No. He's really moving that offense real good.
No. Well, they made their decision after 2 or 3 games into the season. Georgia Tech only has 2 losses on the season, but of course one of them comes to Florida State. So I mean that's a given. So without that loss, Georgia Tech's has a great season at 8-1, and actually a 19th ranking for Georgia Tech I think is a slap in the face because the ACC has improved this year.
Right. Yeah,
I mean the conference has improved. You're talking about a team that's 8-2, scoring a lot of points, playing exciting football. If they win this game, they're 9-2. You got a lot of teams with 2 losses in the top 10 in college football now.
In the beginning of the season, I'm sorry, Mike. In the beginning of the season, a lot of the smart money had, the heavy action had Georgia as one of the top teams in the country before the season's even started.
Well, we know the big reason is the disappointment with Quincy Carter.
Yeah, it's the same old thing with this guy. I mean, I can't tell you countless games that maybe I had action on him and he's cost me.
I just think the spread in this game is way low. I think Georgia Tech. There's going to be fans from both sides, even though it is in Georgia. I think Georgia Tech should be at least a 3.5 to 4-point favorite in the game. I like Georgia Tech, one of my better plays. Next game on the docket, Notre Dame Fighting Irish against Southern Cal. This game goes way back, one of the best rivalries in college football. The Fighting Irish are -1.5, total 52.5. They're coming in 8-2, riding a 6-game winning streak against Southern Cal. Southern Cal, one of the biggest disappointments in the country. Started out the season with a big win against Penn State in the first game of the year that they played in New Jersey. Right. Notre Dame, a win when they play in the Fiesta Bowl, a January 1st bowl, which is going to be the first time in a long time. If you remember, Bob Davies was on the hot seat earlier in the year. Fighting Irish fans are behind him now. They're talking about a contract extension. I'm real excited about this game.
Well, they got to give him a contract extension. He's the best thing that's happened to him in a long time. Two tough losses this year. They had Nebraska beat, and they lost by a fluke to Michigan State, 4th and 19, crossing pattern for 69 yards to end the game pretty much with a minute and something left. But Notre Dame, they're definitely for real, and whoever they get, I think it's in the Fiesta Bowl. It's going to get ugly for whoever they play. They're going to roll it up tomorrow against SC, no doubt about it.
Well, as I said, USC is a disappointment at 5-6. If you remember earlier in the season, they're picked in the top 10. They play Penn State and blow them out. Boom, they're high in the top 10. And
yeah, the quarterback was a glamour boy in some of the magazines.
Palmer.
Yeah, he was a glamour boy in some of the magazines, the early magazines over there. I don't know what happened to USC this year.
No, I don't.
Yeah, and this is sorry about
Go
that.
ahead.
This is Hackett's last game for them, and I think they're just ready to get him out of town. He's been a disappointment since they replaced Robinson.
Right. Well, I think, like I said, USC is basically riding out the schedule. This game means a lot to Notre Dame. Notre Dame went into SC last year and got shut out. It was Arnaz Battle's first start, replacing Jarius Jackson. They played in mud. Notre Dame had a lot of opportunity to score, but turned the ball over deep inside USC territory on many occasions. So Notre Dame has a lot to play for, like I said, with the bowl situation. Not only that, it's a huge rivalry, and Bob Davies needs another win to get 9 victories, and maybe a bowl game gives him 10. So I'm behind Bob Davies. I think he's done a great job. Our number here is 751-5786. 751-5786. Please give us a call. We got a lot to talk about. We got one more college game, of course, local UNLV we want to talk about. We got the games to talk about from yesterday featuring the Turkey Day games, Dallas and Minnesota, New England and Detroit, and, of course, the Sunday and Monday night games. So 751-5786. Please call with any questions, opinions. If you like a game or if you just want to know about your favorite team, we appreciate a call. Next game we want to talk about is the UNLV Rebels against San Diego State. Rebels here need 2 wins for the Las Vegas Bowl bid. It's a start for UNLV as John Robinson has turned this program around. Game features John Robinson against Ted Tollner, both ex-USC coaches, if you remember. UNLV running back Jeremy Rudolph, we were talking about it earlier. He has 4 straight 100-yard games, really having a fine season. He's only really had 1 bad game. And UNLV looking into next year, not to get past this game or the game against Hawaii, but next year you're going to have Jason Thomas returning, their front 4 returning. It's very feasible you're going to see UNLV in the top 25 for a few years to come with the team that they have. And then the conference they're in is an up-and-coming conference.
Yes,
it's getting a lot of respect. And I think UNLV's played a lot of close games this year, losing to BYU by 3, on the road to Colorado State by 1 because they missed the extra point. So really, UNLV's season could be even better than it is. You followed UNLV for a long time. Now, Jason Thomas has to be considered one of the better quarterbacks that they've had.
Yeah, there's no doubt. He definitely has the most. Well, him and Cunningham,
Right.
As far as athletic ability, they're both comparable as far as that goes. But coming out of high school, this was the most sought after football player in UNLV
Definitely.
history. And now you got Robinson, who's just brings with him nothing but experience, NFL experience, and great college days. And on top of that, you got players who's played for him. They're going to get their kids to go play for him, too.
Yeah.
He's going to get the top recruits. UNLV is definitely up and coming. They should be a top 25 team without a doubt next year.
Definitely. Well, Robinson's got a lot of ties with California.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, being with the Rams, right? So how much do you think that affects the players coming to UNLV, not going to Southern Cal or UCLA? You think Robinson has any pull in California?
It probably does, and he probably, like I say, he has a big following over there. And I just want to say one thing. In the beginning of the year, there was a lot of bad talk about the San Diego State program. I don't know what's their record right now, San Diego?
They're under 500. I believe
Under 500?
They're 3-6.
But don't take UNLV shouldn't take this team too lightly.
Yeah.
Because they could jump up and bite them. And this is just a type of loss that you got to really avoid, because this is a rebuilding program, and that was a tremendous game they had down south against Mississippi a few weeks ago. And
Sure was.
I think that was, if it's such a thing as brilliant in defeat, I think that was a real turning point in their system. It's a loss, but it was a good loss if there's such a thing as that.
Yeah, but watching UNLV now, along with their basketball team, I'm tired of hearing about good losses. Bill Bano and his good losses, 2-2. I'm just tired of hearing about
When
it.
are they going to run him out of town? He's been this is going on
Yeah.
6 years. He needs to go.
Yeah. They're thinking about bringing Massimino back.
Yeah, I'm just tired of hearing. I'm happy to get to the tournament, but we're out after the first game.
Right.
He needs to go. Goodbye.
Definitely. Well, I look for UNLV to roll in this game. I think Jason Thomas is going to have a game. It's on CBS. They picked up the feed for it. And it's also going to be on your DSS system on pay-per-view. So UNLV's been on TV a lot this year.
Yeah, I've been up when I was up in the Bay Area. I couldn't wait just to get to Teeter's Sports Pub to go watch.
Right.
Go watch the Rebels playing
And
football against Colorado State. They should have won that game.
Yes,
You know,
right.
they're tough. They blew out Air Force.
Well, let's hope UNLV does win and get into a bowl game next week. Hawaii, they got to win both games. Go ahead. We got a caller.
Hello?
Yes, caller.
Hey, Big Mike, what's up with the Steelers, buddy?
Oh, the Steelers. They got to shake up that quarterback position. I don't know about Cordell. He's too erratic back there. They need to do something with that.
Come on, buddy. You were wearing a Steelers shirt today when I saw you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the trunk now. I use it to buff the car.
He's using it as a seat cushion.
Hey, buddy, I took your Notre Dame team, so we better come through tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, Notre Dame's definitely coming through. That's an easy. That's the best bet of the day tomorrow.
All right, man. I'll bring your Steelers shirt to the house.
All right, buddy.
All right, later.
Take care, Dal.
Well, you know, if Notre Dame doesn't cover tomorrow, you'll just have to change your phone number for the 4th time this month.
Yeah,
right?
it's been 4 times
That's all
already.
right. No big deal.
I got a Nixon mask in the car too.
Okay, we want to go to some of the games that were played yesterday, 2 of the pro games on Thanksgiving. The early game, of course, was the Patriots and the Lions, as Vern put up on the left side, you got the Lions minus 6.5, 39. That was the spread and the final score. 34-9 Lions. The Patriots under Bill Belichick have blown a tire the whole season. Really shown nothing. He basically spit in the Jets' face at the start of the season, not accepting the job, and now takes over the Patriots, and the Patriots have 3 wins on the season, going nowhere. And basically, they're just very boring. They're bland, and their offense is very, it's predictable. Yeah, you've seen the defensive cornerbacks and safeties playing up on the line, just there and Bledsoe to come at
Yeah, Bledsoe, you got to wonder. He's just, he's the real tired quarterback out there right now. Yeah. And how many times is he going to start over? It's like Parcells is gone. I played under Carroll. Now Belichick, and it's like they're just a team going nowhere. And as far as Belichick goes, you had a chance to coach the Jets, and you chose the Patriots.
Definitely.
And after this year, you should be in the unemployment line, too.
Definitely not a good game for Belichick. Well, the other game, of course, the 1 o'clock game when everybody was eating, the Minnesota Vikings against the Dallas Cowboys. Vikings were 7.5-point favorites, total of 49. Minnesota does come out on top 27-15 after a slow start, but they did get tremendous play from some of their big players. Randy Moss, 7 receptions, over 140 yards, 3 touchdowns. And we watched the game together. We seen all 3 catches, and what a spectacular day he had catching the ball. Remember?
Well, Randy Moss is just phenomenal. The guy, he focuses and keeps his feet in. He just makes huge plays after huge plays, and it's like I wonder why Minnesota don't go to him even more. I mean, this guy is the most awesome weapon in football right now. You got to just keep going to him.
He's really dangerous. Dallas, with the loss, of course, goes to 4-8. They're in the division with your Redskins. But they did beat your Redskins earlier there. We won't go into that.
Okay, thank you very much.
But what is the problem with Dallas at 4-8? Where do they start
First,
next year?
I just want to backtrack for a second. I think the NFL should start taking a saliva test on Randy Moss because I think his background, he might be from the University of Mars.
That's Marshall. Mars Hall.
Oh, okay,
Marshall.
I got confused. Okay.
No problem. But speaking of Dallas, 4-8 now, okay?
Right. Well, I told you a few weeks ago that they were worse than their record indicated, and you thought I was kidding. And I said last week, there's 2 good things. There's 2 things. I said the 2 quarterbacks for Dallas are probable. That's the good thing. And the bad thing is the 2 quarterbacks for Dallas are probable.
Yeah.
That's the bad thing. But Dallas, it's like anything else. Planes and trains stop, and they stop. It's like the moon and the sun. People go up, people go down. And Dallas was up there for a long time, and now they might be down for a long time.
Well, I'll tell you what, they took a beating yesterday. A lot of hard hits. Defensive back Robert Griffith was laying the wood to their tight end, and Emmitt Smith, they got knocked out on a play when him and McDaniel hit him. An interesting thing about yesterday's the Detroit Lions winning the game and the Minnesota Vikings winning the game. Detroit 2 games behind Minnesota. The interesting thing about the Vikings situation here, they come in after that game with a 10-2 record. Their next game is at home against the Lions. I called Vegas, the line for next Thursday should be around 13. Minnesota minus 13 at home against Detroit. Sounds like a high number, but I mean Minnesota at home is definitely, you got to up the point spread with Minnesota at home against. If you look at Detroit's offense coming to Minnesota, your quarterback's Charlie Batch, and your running back's James Stewart, and your best receivers are Herman Moore and Johnny Morton, and you're going to go to Minnesota in the Dome, and you're going to face Moss and Carter and Culpepper and Robert Smith, who's leading the NFL in rushing right now and averaging almost over 5 yards a carry. I mean, do you really think that the line should be less than 10 points? I mean,
I don't want to put a damper on this, but the only thing I can think is to say to you is that I think the Lions are up there with the giveaway takeaways this year, and he could be doing with the new coach with smoke and mirrors. But, sometimes a team, rises to the occasion the last couple of weeks with the interim coach, with new coach coming in, changes. And sometimes, and we've seen it in a lot of different sports, not just football, momentum.
Right, momentum.
And, the Lions, they're playing over their head, but maybe they're not going to wake up until who knows when. I'm not saying they're going to beat Minnesota, but I say they might give them a competitive game.
Well, Well, I'm glad he ain't saying they're going to beat Minnesota because we'd have to move him off the set.
Right.
Minnesota, we talked about this earlier.
Well, it comes down to this. If Detroit goes into Minnesota and it's even a close game, there's something wrong. Minnesota is just overwhelming with talent
Right,
compared to Detroit. And you're in the dome. I mean, they're both dome teams, but there's no comparison here. I mean, you got to use the weapons you have. They're loaded.
And
Robert Smith, Moss, Carter underneath.
The key here, though, we were talking about earlier, Minnesota with 2 wins. If they win their next 2 games, which will only be 14 games for the season, they lock up home field advantage throughout the playoffs. If they beat the Lions, they clinch the division Thursday. That's one thing. The following game, they play the Rams in St. Louis. Going to be a great matchup. That actually too bad they're in the same conference. It would be a great Super Bowl game, Rams and Vikings. Yeah. Kurt Warner will be back, but if Minnesota does beat the Rams, that means Minnesota gets home field advantage over the Rams. They get the divisions locked up, and they have the tiebreaker over the Redskins. So basically, they have 2 free weeks to get healthy.
Well, you got the Redskins winning out, right?
If they do.
What do you mean if?
If.
Oh, okay.
IFF.
Yeah, the Rams, they definitely need to have Warner in there to have a chance against the Vikings because they're missing him big time.
Yeah, he's definitely the difference in that team. Trent Green just holds the ball way too long, and we'll get into that later. The phone number here again is 751-5786. Please give us some calls. We're going to be going to the NFL here. If you want to talk about boxing, the future boxing matches, we got Vargas and Trinidad. Talk about Lewis and Tyson coming up. Basketball starting right now, getting into full swing. And like I said, a full load of college games on Saturday. Sunday, a full load of games. And Monday night, we got the Packers and the Panthers. So 751-5786 is the call. Get your questions ready and give us a call back. You want a break?
Hi, everybody. This weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, this weekend only, we're having a sale. Not just any sale, a big sale. For example, all shoes, regardless make, model, they're 50% off. 50% off, all our shoes. Clothing is going to be there. This sale is going to run from housewares, sporting goods, gift wares, Christmas items, anything from 25 to 50% off everything that's marked. Everything will be clearly marked in the store starting Friday morning. We will have red tags on everything, so there won't be any question. This sale is not applicable with any other discounts or sales. It's just red tagged merchandise only. Our jackets, for example, 25% off. Like I said, you're going to be amazed at what you see. All the sporting goods stuff, the stuff for Christmas, the toys. Guys, don't miss this. Friday and Saturday and Sunday, Floyd's Ace Hardware. You guys, you want to be there.
For all your water needs, call Sparklets of Nye County. Locally owned and operated for over 11 years. We deliver to your home, office, or on-site construction projects. Call Kelly, Bob, or Larry today and begin enjoying Sparklets water. 727-4480.
When you stop at Precious Properties Cottage, you'll meet that girl in the big white hat, international award-winning real estate broker, Philly Kativas. Happy clients tell the story.
She's a good friend of mine. I trust her. A lot of people trust her. And I bought a land here without even seeing it. It's just because of her trust, because of my trust to her. I've known her for a long time, and you people out there, there's no better way.
Call 727-5255.
Hey, welcome back to Sports Talk. Another Friday night here with with Danny Ulo and my brother Mike Foley. Gonna go to the AFC first. Talk about some divisions here. Go ahead. We got a caller?
Yep.
Okay. Go ahead, caller.
How you guys doing tonight?
Hey, Mr. Ray, how you doing, pal?
All right, the triumvirate, all three of you guys up
Yeah.
there, huh?
Took a lot of cash to bring him in from Frisco, but we went ahead and
I
did it.
guess so. You know, sent a limousine out for him and brought him all the way back.
You seen that limo, didn't you?
Yeah, that limo is really something.
How'd you do last week, Ray?
I did okay.
Good.
Did all right. What is it? Every Thursday now there's going to be a pro game or what there?
Well, you know, college football basically is ended now. Minnesota plays this Thursday. I don't think it's going to be every Thursday. I think you might have this Thursday, and there may be another one at the end of the year. But it's not going to be every Thursday. Thursday nights are going to be open now, so you can do things with your family if you're a football fan on Thursdays.
Well, how do these teams get any rest fully? I mean, I don't understand it. If they play on a Sunday and then they play again on Thursday, you know, what is this? They're all beat up on Sunday, and then Thursday they can come right back?
Well, the thing is, you play a cupcake on Sunday, and that way it's like just a practice game.
That's right. It's like a scrimmage.
Yeah.
Then you go into a Thursday game. The good thing is, though, Ray, you know, they play this next Thursday, Detroit and Minnesota, and then, you know, and what's fair, because they both played on Thanksgiving, so they're both playing a week later.
Yeah.
Really, it's a week's rest. And then the following week, they're going to have 10 or 11 days rest when Minnesota's going to play the Rams. So it's going to really benefit them to me.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day. I think if, well, we won't even get into that now.
But I'm just saying, Minnesota coming in with 11 days rest playing the Rams is going to benefit them. Kurt Warner coming back for probably his first game. You know, he's due back against the Vikings. He's trying to get back for the third, but if they're smart, they'll save him for Minnesota.
Yeah, they got to be smart about that.
Yeah.
It just seemed like they would schedule a team after a bye week, you know, on the Thursday. Isn't that what happened with in one of those games? I forget which game it was. Somebody came off a bye and they were all ready. Oh, I think it was on a Monday night. Wasn't it Monday night?
Yeah, it was.
And they came back after a bye
Yeah.
and they were the dog and they won the game. So.
Yeah, and you know, as we'll see later on, there's a stat about one of these other teams. A lot, you know, some teams are good after the bye week, some teams aren't good after the bye week.
What was that team, Redskins, Dan?
I think that was last Monday night.
Yeah, what was the name of the team?
Washington Generals?
Was
Washington
it the
Generals.
Redskins?
Yeah, the Redskins.
Was it the Redskins? No kidding, Redskins, Dan.
They won?
I think it was, yeah.
Dan still hasn't got the paper yet.
No. What was the final score, Ray?
I don't remember. I don't recall the final. I noticed Van Winkle said on this, he passed on the news tonight, but he says he got a phone call. He says, oh, yeah, there was an earthquake in Johnny Moore Monday. Whatever. I'm like, wait a minute. What kind of earthquake in Johnny? Let us know right now, Vern. Come on. Don't keep it from us. Tell Foley to read a paper here saying, yeah, there was an earthquake in Johnny and all the houses are demolished. Don't keep us hanging.
Got to keep you in suspense, buddy. You got to keep you watching.
I mean, I heard the phone call. I says, wow, what is this?
Hey, if you ever ride on some of these roads, you'd think there was an earthquake here.
But you guys are doing a good job, man. I'll watch the rest of the show, and I'm writing down all the hot tips.
Hey, thanks, Ray. We're going to have a bunch of them for you.
Ray.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, AFC East standings. We were talking about them before Ray called. Miami is 8-3. You got basically 4 teams in a fight for the division title. It's going to be a great stretch run with 5 and 6 games, or excuse me, 5 games respectively left for them. Miami with a 1-game lead. The Jets, though, hold the tiebreaker against the Dolphins. Remember the come-from-behind victory on Monday night? And then last week, the Jets beat Miami. So if the Jets can just tie Miami, the Jets would win the division. But when you get into them tiebreakers and you got 2 or 3 teams involved,
You can literally have a 4-way tie
Yeah.
this weekend for
That's
first
right.
place.
Yep.
4 teams at the
4 teams.
8-4, huh?
That's right.
yeah. And all these teams are, you know, when you have only 5 games left, it really comes into must-win situations. I talked earlier here, Dan, when we were on the show. You know, it's only week 3 or only week 4, but it's a must-win because you got to win them conference division games. You know,
come back to haunt you.
It's coming. You know, it's coming down to Miami and the Jets. What if they're tied? Well, the Jets won 2 division games. Every game is important.
Every game is big from here on out, without a doubt.
Yeah.
No question.
Well, we got 4 alive in the AFC East. AFC Central, on the other hand, we have Tennessee at 9-2, basically a lock for the playoffs, followed by Baltimore at 8-4. The rest of the teams pulling up the rear. Pittsburgh, a few tough breaks this season. The referee screwed them out of a few games. But I believe last Sunday night that number 2 pass defense really had its hands full. Mark Brunell had a great game. If don't forget Fred Taylor, 230 yards against Pittsburgh. You got to wonder how much heart that team's going to have left the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's the first time Jacksonville even looked halfway good this year.
Yeah.
I listened to that game. I couldn't believe it. They were just running through them like crazy.
Well, Tennessee last week is susceptible to the turnovers. I believe they had 8 or 9 turnovers, but still come out with a victory. Thank God they were playing Cleveland.
Yeah, that's got to be a first.
Yeah.
8 or 9 turnovers
Yeah.
and you still win the game.
Well, look at that division, man. Cleveland, Cincinnati. You know, I mean, come on.
There's only 2 teams in that division this year.
Okay, we got a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, the Foley brothers. This is Steve. Hi, hairless Redskin Dan.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
I'm good. Listen, you were just hitting on one of my topics, Tennessee. How dangerous are they going to be? And maybe Redskin Dan, you can touch on Oakland for me.
Okay, well, all I can tell you is Tennessee. This is a fairly big game this coming Sunday against Jacksonville. Jacksonville is still dangerous, Steve, but I believe that Tennessee has the better overall team. And even though Jacksonville's offense has come alive, I think Tennessee wins this game. As far as Oakland is concerned, I said before, a couple of weeks ago, the quarterback, Rich Gannon, gives a whole different dimension to the Oakland Raiders that they didn't have the last couple of years. Oakland, to me, I'm still out. To me, I think the jury is still out with them. I know that they have a little bit of a running game this year, and they have a little balance on the offense. But to me, I'm not jumping on Oakland's bandwagon at all yet. I'm going to wait a few more weeks. Thanks for the call, Steve.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go to the AFC West now. AFC West, we just talked about the Oakland Raiders. Dan touched on them, 9-2 record. Denver, a 7-4 record. Another situation where if Oakland should drop 2 games by some chance of the remaining 5 games, Denver has beaten them twice. Those are the only 2 losses for Oakland. Denver in a situation where they have 5 games remaining. Gus Frerott's going to be quarterbacking for many of them. Do you think Denver has a chance to overtake Oakland?
I don't think so. I think this year, you know, a few years Raiders, they'll start out fast and they kind of fade out. This year, they've been tested, and like they went to Indianapolis, they were down, they came back and won that game. Against the Chiefs in Kansas City, they went into KC and they beat them.
Yeah.
I mean, this year the Raiders are definitely for real, and that Gruden is a perfect fit for them. He's got that team believing in Gannon.
Yeah,
you know,
he's solid.
He is solid.
Well, Dan, we talked about the Broncos beating the Raiders twice. Let's say perhaps before the Super Bowl they have to meet again. Say the Broncos get a wild card. What does a team with 2 wins over the division leader, what does that do to the division leader's head? I mean, you know, they're going to be home again, but Denver did beat them at home earlier, and they've never beaten Mike Shanahan.
Oakland's averaging 28 points a game, 3rd best in the NFL this year. Now, 28 points in a playoff game, if they could average that against Denver, that would be tough to beat. I'm not sure where Terrell Davis is in this point of the season. I know Denver was supposed to be a second-half team with Terrell Davis, and so far, like I say, Denver has been a little snake bit this year. Greasy, I like Greasy as a quarterback. I think it's very close between the 2. I mean, to me, you could flip a coin and you could take either one of them to try it out there for you. But I think that Oakland will probably wind up winning this division. I'm not saying that they're going to get in by the skin of their teeth. They'll probably win it comfortably. But I'm just not sold on Oakland this year. And I'm not an Oakland hater. There's something about this team.
Yeah, I was looking for reasons why, you know, it's like, well, the Raiders are going to fold, but they haven't folded. And that's the thing. And I think the AFC Championship's going to definitely have to go through Oakland.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you what, though. If Denver plays Oakland in the playoffs, which if they did, you know, Oakland's going to have a bye, obviously. They got a 9-2 record, or at least they should have a bye. Right. It would be probably to get to the Super Bowl because Denver would have to win a game, and you can't play your own division winner. You have to play them in the championship game before the Super Bowl. Denver's mental psyche has to be, we can beat Oakland, and Oakland's has to be, they can beat us. You know, so it's going to be a tough game. Yeah. Oakland does have the talent.
Yeah, and if you're in Oakland, you better sell out every game. Yeah. Shame on you if you don't.
Yeah, Oakland's really not drawing even this year. NFC East. Right on top of the NFC East, you have the Philadelphia Eagles. Very, very big surprise. Who would have thought that? Philadelphia is 8-4. The Giants are 7-4. That graphic is incorrect. Washington 7-4. Dallas and Arizona are out of it. 3 teams here with all 4 losses and tied in the loss column. The Giants, of course, Philadelphia, of course, awaiting a bye. So they're 1 game or half a game up, but they got the extra win. But Philadelphia's having a problem moving the ball in the air. McNabb last week, only 1 complete to a wide receiver. We'll get into that later. But right now, no experience for Philadelphia in the playoffs. Does that matter? I don't know. Kurt Warner didn't have any experience. He won a Super Bowl. Washington has all these high-priced athletes, and the Giants can't win a big game. So to me, I mean, North Turner can't win a big game either, so don't get excited.
No.
Yeah, okay, but you got 3 teams with 4 losses, and to me, it's a crapshoot. You take it; it's your division. I want to hear what you got to say.
Well, I think you kind of, hit the nail on the head. It always seems like every year the Redskins lose, and this is even before that they knocked over Fort Knox. But just that they always seem to lose these cockamamie games to Arizona, to Philadelphia. These games, like you say, how could they lose on paper? This horse looks like he's in the barn. He's eating the oats, and the blanket's over him already.
Definitely, this is definitely North Turner's last year, I think.
He's got to win a championship.
He's got to win a championship. Snyder's dipped into his pocket, and he shelled out the money to get these guys. And North Turner's been on the hot seat for the last couple years, and he's got the horses. He's got to win it this year.
Definitely does. NFC Central, as I said, next week Minnesota plays Detroit. If they win that game, they go to 11-2, and Detroit has 5 losses. So basically a 3-game lead with 3 games to go. They would own a tiebreaker. Minnesota is in the playoffs. They need a victory against Detroit next Thursday night to coast. Detroit, I'm still not sold on that team. it's a team, if they make the playoffs, they're gone in the first round. I don't care who they play. Their talent just isn't
if there's
there.
a team you're not really sold on, it's got to be that team.
They're
Because
just
let me
like-
tell you,
yeah.
their record is better than what that team really is.
Definitely.
They stink.
Yeah.
I don't care. If you're a Detroit fan, you better drink a lot because you're not going nowhere.
Yeah, pass the buck. Anybody else disagreement or excuse me, agree that Minnesota definitely the winner in that division?
I give them that division right
There's
now.
no question.
But
No
like I
question.
say, Detroit is doing with smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
I'm just saying to you that be careful giving laying a lot of wood when Detroit plays Minnesota.
Well, I think the mirror breaks this week.
I
And,
think
you
they
get
beat.
7 years bad
I
luck.
think they beat a real overrated Giant team, and they beat a real horrible New England team. You know what I mean?
Well, the only thing I got to say about Detroit,
But
they're
they're
a good-
winning.
they're
I gotta
a
give them
good
credit.
team, but
they're
you know
they're
what?
winning. You know, they're doing what they got to do to win, but
They got to do a lot more to
they
win
got to
Thursday.
do a lot more. Especially, it's not going to
They're
happen.
going to have to put 30-something points on the board against the Vikings in Minnesota. The next division, the NFC West, last division, St. Louis Rams coming in 8-3. One more game, maybe 2 more games with Trent Green at quarterback. New Orleans is going to play the Rams this week. Unfortunately, the absence of Jeff Blake and Ricky Williams really puts a damper on this game. The Rams are going to be 13.5-point favorites Sunday. If those two were playing with Green quarterbacking for the Rams, that that line on the game was probably 6.5 or 7 points because New Orleans was just playing Super Bowl.
You know, going into that game 2 weeks ago, before Ricky Williams got, you know, without them getting hurt, I'd have definitely thought New Orleans had a good shot going in and beating them.
They did.
They did. There's no question about it. And it's like they're decimated. But their defense, they stuck together. They played tough against Oakland, considering what happened.
Definitely played tough.
But I look for, you know what? I even look for them to cover against the Rams.
It wouldn't surprise me because I'm going to give you the one reason. Trent Green just holds the ball way too long.
Yeah, he sure does.
I mean, if Bruce Smith gets 3 sacks, you know, after he takes his Doan's pills at halftime, I mean, what are the Saints going to do?
Well, like I said to you a couple of weeks ago, I said Ricky Williams didn't play defense, and
That's right.
yeah, New Orleans. I liked New Orleans a couple of weeks ago. I liked them from the, you know, I can't say I liked them from the get-go, but I jumped on their bandwagon with each win. Like, they had 5 wins in a row, and I told you a couple of weeks ago on our way over here, I said, you know, the Rams have to play New Orleans 2 more times, and this is before the devastating injuries. So, you know, I do feel sorry for New Orleans. You know, I really do.
Well, don't feel bad because they're all getting big paychecks this week,
Oh,
whether they
okay.
win or lose. We're going to go to the Sunday games. Phone number here, 751-5786. Please call us. Anything you want to talk about, football preferably. Get your questions ready. Talk about your favorite teams or a game you might like. Maybe you want some input on. We'll definitely be glad to help you. First game, Sunday. Buffalo Bills at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Basically, 2 teams going in opposite directions. Tampa Bay started out strong. They're faltering right now. Last week, Keyshawn Johnson back to his normal self. 2 catches for 13 yards. Quarterback for Tampa Bay, Sean King's been struggling a lot. It's a situation now where Tampa Bay probably is out of the playoffs. They'd have to win all 5 remaining games to make a wild card. And I think maybe they've tried Sean King for 11 games. They played last year. He really doesn't have the spark and the firepower. They got a great defense, but I think you got to have some type of spark. It's just a bland offense. Stott's going to be out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, he's surrounded with a lot of players out there, a lot of talent.
Yeah.
The defense is solid. You know, their missing link is that quarterback position. I think Sean King's been overrated as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
He's really not throwing up the numbers he needs to do, and you know he can scramble, but you know you got to have a total package in the league today.
Well, I'd like to throw something at you. Here's an opinion. Tampa Bay, 3rd-string quarterback Joey Hamilton from Georgia Tech. How about giving him a shot?
Well, Joey Hamilton was pretty good in college.
Definitely.
You know, I don't know how many minutes he has, you know, kidding around. I don't know how many snaps he's taken in the pros. But I'm saying to myself, Sean King's got 10 interceptions and 15 touchdowns. I don't know, you know, it's not too good.
No, it's not.
You know, and also, you know, something about Buffalo. There's something about this team that you want to call them overachievers down through the years or whatever. But I took Buffalo this week. Like I said,
like Buffalo.
I like the
Buffalo,
Bills
too.
this week too.
Definitely.
The thing that bothers me about them is the Wade Phillips situation with
that guy.
Are you getting tired of hearing Flutie Johnson? He needs to get a clue. They need to really get rid of him. Do something because.
Well, you know, every time Buffalo starts doing something good on television, you know, you get into the game and you forget he's the coach, and then they go to the sidelines and there he is.
Yeah, it just like
You know, it's like all the momentum is just switched as soon as you see him. Big thing though last week for Buffalo. Talking about the quarterback situation for Tampa Bay, Buffalo has 5 sacks, and if they pressure Sean King, because he's going to be in situations where he's going to have to throw, because that team runs on first down, runs on second down.
So you like Buffalo's defense?
I like Buffalo's defense.
Yeah, but you know what? I also look for for Johnson to be running around crazy too, because Warren Sapp's going to be all over him.
Yeah, but
you
he
might
can
see,
move though.
He can move, but you
He's
know
an
what?
underrated
He's no
Doug
Doug
Flutie.
Flutie
We
can
know
move
that.
around. You might see Flutie early in that game.
Well, I like Flutie. I'd like to see.
I
think Buffalo wins.
You
this
might
game.
see Johnson carried off the field in that game quick.
Well, Warren Sapp can carry him. We know that. Next game, Miami Dolphins at the Indianapolis Colts. Miami needs to keep winning to keep ahead of the Jets, the Colts, and the Bills. They're coming in 8-3. Last week, Jay Fiedler hurt on the first play of the game. His status is still up in the air. If he can't go, it'll be Heward at quarterback. Miami's got the top 2 sack men in the NFL, Trace Armstrong and Jason Taylor, with 13.5 and 10 sacks respectively. And the problem with Indianapolis here is they can't win a big game. Can they ever beat anybody that's any good?
All I know is Manning is the first NFL quarterback to throw for 3,000 yards in his first 3 seasons. And I think their offense really rises to the occasion this week. In some ways, the RCA Dome they're playing
Yeah.
home, right?
Yeah.
And not taking nothing away from Miami's defense. They got a very, like a no-name. We kidded around about a no-name defense. But I think Indianapolis really goes to town. I don't care who they're playing.
They have to.
They're really going
Exactly.
to go to town this Sunday.
They have
have
to
to.
because you know they have a couple losses this year. I mean,
They lost to Oakland.
they lost to Oakland.
Last
They were
week
up
on the
big.
road,
They
they
lost on the road to Chicago. They
Yeah.
lost on the road to Green Bay. Games they were all favored and they should have won.
Right.
And they lost. Their backs are against the wall. And Mora, who knows with that guy.
Yeah, you never know. I'll tell you, it's going to be tough for Miami to win in Indianapolis. And I think Indianapolis can outscore Miami. I think they're going to put some points up on the board on our
Well, it's like this on paper. Indianapolis should beat them no problem.
Yeah.
Right.
But
On
the
paper.
Mora factor has to
On
come into
paper.
play.
Next game could have been the game of the week a couple of weeks ago, till my man Redskin Dan said he liked the Saints. Since then, they've lost their top 2 players. Whoever their third player is, their third best player, you better call in sick Sunday, because I don't know what's going to happen to you. But the first 2 were out for the year.
Joe Horn?
It could. No, he's injured already.
Okay.
Did you do it to him? Rams minus 13.5, total 54.5. Rams 8-3, Saints 7-4. Ironically, if the Saints do somehow win this game, pull out a big win, quarterback Aaron Brooks making his first start. I don't even know where he went to college,
He
unfortunately.
went to Virginia.
Really?
That's
Okay.
where he went. He was a Cavalier.
He actually had a decent game his first game. But
He sure
if the
did.
Saints do win this game, they do tie the Rams for first place.
Should only happen. Should only happen.
Now the Rams would have to go to New Orleans in a couple of weeks, and the Rams are looking at a wild card situation with a loss. I mean, how ironic is that? Rams are darn lucky that Blake and Ricky Williams are out, because that defense would have put enough pressure on Trent Green.
I love that defense.
Oh,
I love New Orleans defense.
The way that Joe Johnson.
Yeah,
and
they
the
really go after.
linebackers.
They get after you.
Yeah.
They go after you.
Every play. Right, Mike?
They go after. They blitz. They go after the quarterback. They're still going to, I think, give the Rams a lot of problems. I think they're going to go after. The defense is going to make some turnovers happen.
Well, obviously, we talked earlier. Trent Green, the difference between him and Warner, just hold the ball way too long. Warner, you got to start looking at some of these Arena Football League quarterbacks. He gets back there and just whips it. Because in Arena Football, you only got 2-3 seconds to get rid of the ball. You step back 3 feet and you whip the ball. We've seen some games where we're in Vegas watching the Vegas team.
Yeah, the Ram style offense, it totally fit what Kurt Warner was in with the.
Kurt Warner's a
Barnstormers.
big difference. Kurt Warner's a big difference. Anyway, next game on the agenda: Bears at the Jets. Bears coming off a big win at home last week. They beat Tampa Bay 13-10. Another game Tampa Bay couldn't win in sub-40-degree weather. They went to 0-18. Shane Matthews making his first start of the year, 20 of 34, 165 yards. Another game where the Bears defense is playing great. 4 sacks, pressuring the quarterback. We talked about Buffalo's 5 sacks. Again, they're playing Tampa Bay. Well, the Bears had 4 sacks against Tampa Bay last week, so that might have a little parallel discussion there as far as sacks go. Testaverde last week, a tough game, 13 of 28, only 102 yards passing.
Ouch.
And that's not going to get it done in the NFL.
The Jets are a hard team to gauge. They look like world beaters on
They're
any
very
given
hard
Sunday,
to gauge.
right?
One week,
Mike?
it's like 1 week Testaverde's throwing for 350 and 3 touchdowns. The
He's definitely off and on. Definitely
off and on. He's totally off and on. You don't know what team's going to show up. The Jets are a funny team.
When you pick a parlay card, you leave the Jets for last. If you need 5 teams and you only have 4, you keep going over and you keep bypassing the Jets. Finally, you might have to throw a dart near them and pick them as your 5th team.
You don't give out the way I picked the winners.
I know, with the wind and the snow.
Yeah.
Next game, Philadelphia and the Redskins. This probably is the game of the week for first place in the NFC East. Philadelphia is second in the league versus the pass. Jeff George, a decent game last week, 24 for 34 with 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 269 yards passing. And Davis, 19 carries for 85 yards. So they did get production from both of their key players. Wide receivers, who's the 3 big wide receivers for Redskins? You got Fryer, Connell.
You got a lot of old men there.
Right, but you got a lot of experience back there.
Right.
And you got Jeff George throwing to him now.
Right.
I think that was a needed change from Brad Johnson.
Yeah, they needed they needed to do something, shake it up a little bit. Jeff George, he looked good the other night.
Did look good.
He looked real sharp.
The thing is, George is, plays 2 good games and 1 bad game. The problem is, you got to play 3 good games to win a Super Bowl. So, I mean, somebody else on the Redskins is going to have to step up. North Turner's game plan is just way too conservative to me. I mean, you got Irving Fryer, you got Connell, Thrash, the other guy last week.
Back kickoff too.
Scored a touchdown. You got guys that can make plays.
Right.
Let Jeff George audible at the line. Forget the counter tray all the time and up the middle. I mean, if you run 3 straight times up the middle and you're only getting 2 yards, let's try a play action and bring the linebackers in, make the cornerbacks swim. To me, Washington's a much more dangerous team with a different coach. I think they're a dangerous team because of the experience and the kind of guys they got.
Yeah, they got players that are capable of making big plays. Stephen Davis and George going downfield, and they got some great quality receivers. But they definitely need a new direction because they've been loaded with talent for the last 2 or 3 years.
What about their kicking situation, Washington?
Well, they brought back a fellow there. Was he 37, 38 years old?
Who? Murray?
Murray.
He was 37 7 years ago.
Yeah. Well, he got me a little nervous because they missed an extra point there. I thought that was going to come back to haunt me on Monday, but he kicked about 4 field goals, I think.
He did.
I think that the Redskins, the kicking game has been non-existent all year just about, and I think it hurt them in another game. I'm not sure offhand which game, but if you want to just focus on one thing for this game on Sunday with the Redskins, it's a home game. The crowd will be behind them like crazy. Coming off that Monday night, they'll be sky high. The Eagles have got to be able to run the ball, because if they don't put any first downs together, this game could get ugly.
It could.
This game could get ugly, and it might be over in the first half.
Well, like I said, Donovan McNabb last week, only 1 completion to a wide receiver. The one thing before we go to a break I do want to say about the Redskins is at least when they've played a big game, they've won the big games. They come in 0-2 against the Giants in Week 3. Right. They beat the Giants. Their season could have been over in Week 3. Last week, they beat the Rams. Big game.
Watch
they
out
beat the Rams on Monday night.
for a team that gets off the canvas.
Yeah. They continue to fight back. Yeah. Redskins start out slow, continue to fight back. Now they're a chance for first place all by themselves this week. We got a lot of games to go. A couple more 10 o'clocks, the 1 o'clock, Sunday night and Monday night. We'll be right back after these messages.
Premium 1-hour photo for your entire photo needs. We develop and print your film along with reprints and enlargements of your favorite photos. We can put your film on floppy disk or CD-ROM. We also do photocopies, photo restoration, and enlargements up to 11x14 on site. We are a Minolta camera dealer. Come drop off a roll of film for our 1-hour photo service. We have the lowest 1-hour rates in town. We're located at the corner of Highway 160 and Dandelion in the Pahrump Auto Parts building. Call us 751-9494.
Hi, I'm Bob at True Value Store here in Pahrump.
It's the newest hardware store in Pahrump, folks. That's right. Serving all your electrical plumbing needs right here on 850 Lola Lane, folks, right in the heart of town. That's right. 727-1582. Head on over to True Value Hardware and check out their huge lumber yard, including culverts. Inside, check out the large showroom, including faucets, building materials, accessories, paints, all types of garden supplies. Head on over. Their friendly staff will take care of you today. True Value Hardware, the newest hardware store in Pahrump.
Visit Valley Crafts. Meet Paula and her pony. See a wonderland of arts and crafts. There's a complete line of supplies, and if we don't have it, well, we can order it. Shop a large selection of gifts and collectibles, including beautiful, one-of-a-kind, homemade porcelain dolls. Beginner and advanced classes for adults and children. Valley Crafts, located at Wheeler Plaza, 921 South Highway 160.
Our housewares department is growing rapidly. We're having a great deal of volume there. We got some killer deals on just about anything you need for your houseware, whether it be a blender, whether it be a toaster, whether it be a coffee maker, whether it be a microwave. We have all those in stock now, and they're coming in droves, getting ready for the winter seasons here. Also, our housewares or our giftware department, that has stuff for your special occasions, your kids' gifts, for the adult gifts. We pretty much have something for everybody here at Ace Home Center. Come by, check it out, see what we got. We've got women's foo-foo stuff, you know, I mean, that really, the stuff, you know, that makes all these guys go crazy, you women love because you like to smell good, and we like for you to smell good. We got that stuff here now. We've got cards, we've got knickknacks, we got all kinds of things. If you need something special for that special person, come down to Floyd's Ace Home Center, check it out, see what we got. You'll probably be amazed.
Hey, welcome back. Another game we want to talk about, the Steelers and the Bengals, even though it really doesn't mean anything in the standings. It is a game you can bet, so it's very important. Steelers coming in -3.5. Last week, another tough loss, 34-24 on Monday night, really ended any type of playoff hopes they had going on the road against the Bengals, who actually looked decent last week with Scott Mitchell at quarterback. Unfortunately, the team that's last in passing doesn't have Scott Mitchell. This week they got back Akili Smith, who I've said for the last 6 weeks is the worst quarterback in the NFL. 7 times this year, 7 games in a row he played and did not throw a touchdown pass. We've talked about Akili Smith.
Yeah, he's horrible. I think, what did he have, 3 straight games under 100 yards passing?
That's an NFL record.
Yeah, you got to go with Scott Mitchell, but they're not going to go with because they're paying this guy through the nose, so they got to keep playing this guy. So, you know, it's going to happen. You're going to keep losing with this guy because he's pretty bad.
Well, at least with Scott Mitchell last week, Cincinnati was 10 of 17 on third downs. We talked about last week when we were talking about Mitchell getting a start. He's good with the play action. He brings in the linebackers, gives a little, you know, the receivers have a little more leeway. Akili Smith is just nervous back there.
Mitchell can't. Well, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that Cincinnati has 8 losing seasons out of the last 9. You know, you wonder when it's going to stop for them. The fans, well, they got a new stadium there too and everything.
Yeah.
You figure they'd be up a little bit. Right. But I don't know, was it the drafting or is it the total from the top to bottom? They got to like clean house maybe, you know?
Well, you got it. I mean, you bringing back Kozlik this year was a complete idiotic move. I mean, you go to a new stadium, get rid of a guy that's won 5 games in 2 years. You got to start fresh.
Yeah.
You know, Akili Smith didn't cut it last year. He absolutely isn't cutting it this year. His value of any type of trade, there's none. I mean, when you throw for 500 yards in 5 games, you got problems.
I got to ask the big guy, Mike, what happened to Pittsburgh's defense against Jacksonville? What happened there?
I don't know. I don't know if it's I don't know if it was so much their defense that Jacksonville finally woke up and executed the way Jacksonville should have executed all year. Yeah, the Pittsburgh's defense was solid all year, but that was definitely a surprise last week because Jacksonville was horrible all year. They finally did what they should have done in that game.
Well, you got to remember, Pittsburgh's played Cleveland twice. Now this is going to be a second time with Cincinnati. Baltimore's offense is terrible. Tennessee has no, you know, I mean, Georgia's going to run 30 times and get 130 yards. McNair's going to throw for 160.
Yeah, it's not like you have in that division teams like the Redskins, the Rams, you know.
Anybody that's going to explode. No passing teams at all except Jacksonville. They played Jacksonville last week. Their second-rated pass defense went to shreds, 200 and some yards by Fred Taylor.
I just got to wonder how many times does he got to keep going with Cordell Stewart?
Yeah.
I just don't.
It's got to end
that.
soon. His contract is so huge. They got to do something with him. They got to eat it. They got to move forward. They got to do.
Yeah, if you want to win, you got to move forward. This guy's been starting a quarterback for 3 years.
Next game, Cleveland Browns, last 10 o'clock game. Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. Browns coming in 3-9. They've lost 7 of their last 8 games. They're going to have Peterson start again. Last week he's 13 of 20. Only 103 yards passing. Cleveland last in the NFL in total offense, going against the #1 defense in the NFL. That's why you got a 16.5-point spread. I think Baltimore probably got the steal of the draft with Jamal Lewis from Tennessee. Last week, Jamal Lewis, another huge game, 28 carries, 187 yards. Shannon Sharp finally appeared for Baltimore, 5 receptions, 100 yards, a huge touchdown. Right. You know, he's very excited about that. Shannon likes to talk. Baltimore and Cleveland, what do you see in this game?
I don't.
Good.
I don't see it.
I don't see it either. 16.5 points.
I remember last week I mentioned that probably the best bet that we should have gave the viewers was the Baltimore-Dallas game. And I said, sure enough, 27-0.
Yep.
You know, that's the only winner I had all year.
No, you had 2 that week.
I had 2? Okay. But this game, I don't even see it. I don't see this game competitive, you know?
No. They look a lot better. Baltimore does with Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, I think they do look a lot more better.
Unbelievably. But they look a lot better.
But anyway, Dilfer brings a lot of poise to the position. Banks gets too erratic, and he don't have patience back there. Dilfer does bring some leadership to the team. I think they ought to really stick with him.
If you notice the last couple of games with Dilfer quarterback, and he's not known as a guy that goes downfield a lot, but Baltimore's throwing a lot of bombs. Yeah. Kind of like Brian Billick did as the offensive coordinator with the Vikings. They're going downfield now. Yeah. Jamal Lewis is playing great, and Baltimore, very dangerous team. I think they might be the best team in the AFC. That's my opinion. Yeah. Anyway, 1 o'clock games. Atlanta and Oakland. The battle of the black. Oakland with the black uniforms, Atlanta with the black uniforms. Unfortunately, only one team's going to end up black and blue, and it's not going to be Oakland.
Nope.
Atlanta 30th in the NFL in total offense. Last week, only 11 first downs, averaging only 3 yards of play last week. You're going to have to do better than that against Oakland. They got a lot of firepower. They were 9 of 15 last week on third down conversions. They got a quarterback that's very understanding of what it takes to get a first down. You know, if it's 3 yards, you throw the ball 4 or 5 yards. You don't throw it 2 yards like some of these teams. The big thing here is Oakland controls their own destiny. They keep winning. They get home field advantage throughout the playoffs. That's a big plus. Oakland's home against Atlanta. I don't see Atlanta having a chance.
I don't see them having a chance at all. You know, I mean, what if I just told you 5 years ago, 4 years ago, Rich Gannon, MVP?
Yeah.
Would those two have came together? Would you?
He's definitely a contender for the MVP.
There's no doubt about it. He makes a lot of difference with that team, and Gruden, they're just a perfect fit.
Yeah. Well, Gannon definitely composed back there. Remember, he's been with a couple of teams. Came out of Delaware, a low-round draft pick. He had a few growing pains with the Vikings. He's went to a couple of teams, but he's one of the most solid quarterbacks in the league.
He just keeps getting the job done.
Definitely. What happens when Gannon gets in trouble in the pocket? I mean,
he moves around. It's that extra dimension that I don't remember Oakland having in the last couple of years.
No, they haven't.
You know?
The only guy that ran around for Oakland was Evans, but he played for 35 years and only took 20 snaps.
But Gannon, he just, you know, he's been around and he carries a real leadership role to that team.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's definitely a contender for the MVP, but it would be interesting who wins the MVP. You got a guy, you know, I don't want to go dwell on it or go back to it, but Dante Culpepper's got to be a contender for the MVP, coming in, never taking a snap, you know, leading the Vikings to where they're at right now. And that would be a nice Super Bowl rematch from 25 years ago, Oakland and Minnesota. Still have nightmares about that one. Next game, Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tennessee leading the AFC Central at 9-2. Jacksonville fighting for their playoffs lives. Obviously, they got to win the remaining 5 games to even have a chance. They're 4-7. Last Sunday night, Taylor 30 carries for 234 yards and 3 touchdowns. Their defense came alive with 5 sacks. Mark Brunell played within himself. They played very emotional. They're going to be playing Tennessee, a division rival right now. Tennessee last week beat Cleveland 24-10, but they almost self-destructed. All those turnovers, remember?
Yeah, that's that. They were just that was an ugly game. Was, you know, turnover after turnover. Yet they still managed to win the game. That tells you really how bad the Browns are.
Yeah, how bad are the Browns to get 9 turnovers and lose by 14 points?
Well, they're pretty bad, but I just want to say, I hope there's not too many Brown fans out there, but what I want to say is I want the people, the fans, to watch something particular in this game. Every time that Eddie George has 27 or more carries, they win. The Titans win. They're 21-1 when he carries 27 or more times.
Exactly right.
So kind of keep a stopwatch or make X's on a piece of paper every time he carries the ball, and we'll see that because he's got 27 times he's carried for 100 yards. But let's see how many carries George has, and let's see what happens in this game.
You know, before the season started, you would have really thought that this game would have been a huge game and it would have meant something. But, you know, it's 4-7 Jacksonville. It's a real disappointing year. Right. And Coughlin, I don't know, he's got to watch for his job.
I'll tell you what, I like Jacksonville in this game. I think they're fine. I think Jacksonville has regained focus. They may not make the playoffs this year. I'm not saying they're playing for last year. I hate that cliche. Play for next year. I hate that cliche. I think Jacksonville at home comes up with a big victory, and I don't think Tennessee has the type of team that can come back. I think Jacksonville scores early and coasts.
Oh, I can see it. I mean, they're a loaded team. They should be able to.
Oh, they're all guns.
When they're clicking, when they're firing, exactly. When they're firing.
McCardle, Smith, Stewart, 230 yards last week. Well, Fred Taylor, 230 yards last week. Just a great performance. Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. I was talking to my brother at the house before we came over here. I said, this is a pretty simple game to pick. I mean, Denver's -3. Okay, that's not much, right? They're 7-4. Seattle's 4-7. Big difference. Denver's number 2 in the NFL in offense, and Seattle's last. That's a 29-spot difference, and you're only talking about a 3-point spread. On paper, This looks like the game of the year, don't it? Only 3 points.
On paper, you're right.
Right. That's how come paper, you can't win with paper, right?
Oh.
But last week, Gus Frerotte replacing Brian Greasy, 36 out of 58, 462 yards and 5 touchdowns. I can't believe what I seen.
Now there's a good reason why I'm talking about the saliva test in the NFL. You know, I mean, I like Gus. Well, he's next
He has
Redskin.
4 interceptions.
He's next
though,
Redskin, you know.
I know that. Yeah.
Well, you want that Denver offense. You get a good quarterback to throw the ball upfield. They're gonna. Well, game he was behind the whole game. You know, those stats are a little deceiving. But yeah, he is a good quarterback.
They're playing the Chargers though, and Chargers got supposedly a good defense, and you got Smith and McCaffrey combining.
I got them winning this week, the Chargers.
See, what I like about Denver is the receivers are catching balls. I got the receivers catching balls. McCaffrey, Smith combined in 21 receptions last week, 335 yards combined. That they're going downfield. And
you know what we're saying? We're saying that maybe Denver is good no matter who's at quarterback and no matter who's in the backfield.
Well, they're a lot better.
And they're a lot better than Seattle, and they should cover the 3.5 because that line does seem kind of funny. You know, if Holmgren's the general manager of the team, right?
Yeah.
He had to think about firing himself after this year. He's been there for 3 years. You know, he's got to do something. Too.
Yeah, he's going backwards. I think Brock Heward's getting a start for Seattle this week. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, hey, man, you guys were talking about San Diego. It made me think about something. I heard a joke the other day. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Owen.
0-2.
0-11, brother.
You can call every week and say that same joke. Next week, say 0-12, 13, and we can just keep doing it.
Do you think they're gonna do the perfect season this year? Go 0-16 or what?
No,
this is the week they win.
I think they win. They're winning.
They're going to win this week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, since you're talking about it, Kansas City, the next game on the agenda, Kansas City Chiefs at the San Diego Chargers. Kansas City minus 3.5. Excuse me, it was 3.5 to start with Gerbeck at quarterback. We believe Warren Moon will be the starter this week against the Chargers. Last week, Ryan Leaf was 13 of 27, 311 yards and 3 touchdowns. A combination of Graham and Conway had 262 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. Again, the Denver defense was pretty good.
So what are you telling me? Elvis is leaving the building.
Elvis has left the building, and the moon is rising.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Warren Moon, I'm excited about watching Moon. 44 years old, one of the best conditioned 44-year-olds in the world. And I'll tell you what, you like San Diego? I don't think Kansas City loses to San Diego this week. You got a team that's 0-11. Man, give them the first-round draft pick and just finish the season 0-16. I don't even want them to win. I'm tired of hearing about Junior Seau. Yeah, we're going to try this and that. And it's the same story. You know, the same story every week with them.
Well, they've had a couple tough losses. You know, they're
everybody
better than
everybody has tough losses.
Yeah,
I had a tough loss before I came to the show today.
Yeah, I had a tough loss too, and I don't even want to get into that.
Okay, good. We're going to skip the Chargers game. Sunday night's game, the Giants and the Cardinals. Cardinals, how do they stay in the league? Another season gone by, 3-8. Last week, the Cardinals lose Jake Plummer. Dave Brown's going to get the start this week. The only good sign for them, Simeon Rice, 3 sacks for him last week. A good game for him. But the Giants, second in the NFL in rushing. The quarterback, Collins, 29 of 51 last week, 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, all career highs. But again, we talk about big games. The Giants haven't won one all year. Are they going to give this one away and knock themselves out of the playoffs?
I look for Amani Toomer to have a huge game.
He's been playing great.
I mean, this could be a career in a day.
He's still got to go against Aeneas Williams. He's one of the best.
I think he might score a couple of touchdowns. I don't know. How many fingers? Okay, he might score a few touchdowns. Amani Toomer. I think the Giants win handily here.
Yeah. Again, we're coming into November, the end of November and December. Another game that don't mean anything for the Cardinals.
No, and if you're having trouble sleeping, turn this game on because it'll be a bore fest.
Yeah. Forget the alcohol and the pills. This game will put you to sleep. Monday night's game to finish up the schedule. Green Bay Packers at the Carolina Panthers. At the start of the season, people were talking about a great matchup. Seifert, coaching the Panthers against the Packers, who were supposed to, be back to the top of the division. Some picked them for first or second in division. Brett Favre's been playing hurt all year, but I got to give Favre credit. He's always there to play, good or bad. He's in the game. He definitely earns his money.
He's tough.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, when you're a Viking fan and you can still you still like Brett Favre, he earns your respect.
He definitely
just
earns
a tough
respect.
competitor. Green Bay 5-6. Carolina is 4-7. Last week, Earl Dotson. Last week for Green Bay, Favre was 23 of 36, 301 yards and 2 touchdowns. He wasn't even supposed to play in the game. Right. Green, the running back, replacing Dorsey Levens, 24 carries, 153 yards. Who do you like in this game?
Well, I like the Packers. I think Favre's been playing good, and he's healthy. He's somewhat healthy anyway, and I like the Packers in this game.
Mike,
Pat?
I went the other way. I took Carolina. I'm just not sure of the status of the backfield for the Panthers. Can you give me an update on the injuries?
Biaka Batuka's supposed to play.
Right.
And,
what about Floyd, the fullback?
He's out. Floyd's out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not as big as Biaka Batuka.
Right, but I like the quarterback for the Panthers. I
agree with you.
I think that he's going to put up some points, and I like I like the quarterback for Green Bay
That's
too.
why it's a pick, right?
Well, that's why I think
Exactly.
it's a pick.
That is why it's
I
a
took
pick.
the whole team, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what. The thing that stood out to me, I looked it up today by accident. Sometimes you come across stuff. Carolina 4-7 on the year. They've outscored their opponents 210 to 204. It's pretty hard to do when you're 3 games under 500
Great
in the NFL.
stat. I love that stat
Okay?
already. Can I bet this team again?
Carolina scored more points than they've given up their 3 games under 500. I love Berline. I think he's going to come to play Monday night. I agree with Dan. I like Carolina, one of my better plays of the week. This is coming to the end of the show. It's been a great time again. We appreciated your phone calls. Sure. I loved having my brother back. He's going to come back in December. We'll talk about the bowl games. Another great day with Danny. Come down to Terriblestown and say hi to him. He started working last week. He's having a ball, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Great.
Well, anyway, be back here next week at 7:30 on Channel 41. Get your questions ready. Phone number 751-5786. We appreciate everybody watching. Have a great holiday weekend. See you.
So long
See you
now.
later.